Is Valentine's Day a Hallmark holiday? 100%. It is a bullshit holiday that is used for commercialism. I agree with you. I think you're absolutely correct. Does every girl want to feel special and loved on Valentine's Day? Fuck yes, she does. This week's argument. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'echianu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu l'zman hazeh. Amen.
Yeah. First time that we got judges on this week's argument.
We got some guests.
We're very excited. Yes, thank you. And before we start and welcome our fantastic judges, our guest judges, Shannyn, do you want to tell us a little bit about what is this podcast, just so our listeners can,
of course,
be reminded of this thing that we're doing?
And maybe our judges and friends, because I don't know if we fully explained this adequately. Cool. I'm Shannyn. This is Max.
Hi, I'm Max.
This is this week's argument.
Should we say it at the same time?
Should you this week?
Okay, we'll practice that part.
Anyway, yeah, and you can't cheer and be like, yay, arguments. Anyway, this is a podcast where we explore different discussions that come up within relationships, because we are in a real life relationship and marriage, and we also spent several years long distance, and we love talking about relationships, and we also want to normalize talking openly about different things that come up in relationships that aren't just the perfect, beautiful, Instagram worthy moments. We want to also talk about the real shit and encourage other people to do it, so we're airing our dirty laundry out for everyone to see. And that's why we made this podcast. And
we do care that, people benefit from these conversations in terms of being able to see through lines and themes that come out in, our idea is if we talk about our relationship and share that with the world, maybe people will benefit because they may empathize with the experience that we're having. And I was actually saying this to Jason earlier, that just because we're in an intimate, loving, marriage relationship does not mean that the themes or the things that come up in our relationship aren't applicable or found in business partners or mothers and daughters or, there are themes that come up in relationships in general. So welcome to this week's argument. And we are going to introduce our fantastic judges. The judges, for the first time that we've ever had judges. This is amazing.
So exciting. I feel like we're proving to the world that we have real life friends as well, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's also true.
Thanks, guys.
We'll accept payment at the end.
I was gonna say, don't tell them that they're paid actors.
No, they are real life friends, and their names are Jason and Liron, and they're going to tell us a bit about themselves.
Cool. I'm Jason. Most people probably introduce themselves by talking about what they do for work, but I won't do that because I'm not an asshole. So, yeah, I love people. I love humans, including you guys, all three of you. They fascinate me. I love talking to people. I love peeling back the layers of people as well. I think the best way to do that is to peel back the layers of yourself. And if you can do that deep enough, you tend to be able to kind of see what's going on for other people. So I love that. I get inspired by meeting interesting people who do unique things. Yeah, I'm big into, I guess, understanding, what makes humans tick, but also what makes them awesome. So I like reading a whole bunch of topics on what helps me improve my life. And I love playing music. And, we should get to the job thing as well. I work in education for a company that teaches kids how to study, and I really love that as well. But actually mostly because of the people I do it with. They're awesome.
Back to people, right?
Yeah, it's all about that for me at the end of the day.
Nice. And you grew up in Melbourne?
Yes, okay. I grew up in Melbourne, not too far from here. So I'll stop there and go over to my beautiful wife.
Hi, I'm Liron. I was born in Israel and I moved here with my family when I was 8 years old. And I have the most amazing immediate family that I was born into. My parents are both really inspiring, very different people, but have a really deep love for one another and respect, and have always just explored the world with us. So they've always liked to travel and learn new things and always kind of included us in their own personal development. And I think that was really inspiring to see growing up. I've got 2 little brothers who I am just obsessed with. I love them so much. And I am a lawyer, and I like to think of myself as a loving spiritual lawyer because the most important part of the job for me is the human interaction and the client management side of the job. So to see somebody coming through the door and feel really overwhelmed by a problem and to peel it back, ask them the questions and see them walking away with a smile on their face, even when the circumstances that brought them into the office are pretty heart-wrenching, to give them that confidence that somebody has got their back and that they have a greater understanding as to how to navigate the system just gives me a lot of joy. And I'm also working in a lovely firm where I can do that and feel like I am replenished and supported in being the kind of lawyer that I want to be. And then I come home and to my amazing husband, and I feel like we've been cultivating an amazing community around us, which we're really, really passionate about. And in my spare time, I try to bring into my life the things that I know make me really happy and passionate. So I have a women's circle that we've been running now every month called New Moons in Elwood. And we just connect with one another. So we've been building up a sisterhood over the last year. And I love to dance by rhythms every week if I can. And we have an amazing cat called Bubka, who is our pride and joy. But also we've been busy growing a little human ourselves. So at the moment I'm 6.5 months pregnant, and we are really excited to welcome another person into this beautiful love heaven that we exist in. So it's really exciting.
So awesome. And how long have y'all been married?
Yeah, tell us y'all's story in terms of where, when did you meet and when did you get married, and
Give us the highlight reel.
Some highlights of your journey.
Go, Jay.
I'll be better at the highlight
Yes.
reel. You're better at the long story.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Highlight reel. So, was it 2011?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. So 2011, we're both studying at Monash University. I'm doing my 3rd year of arts law. Liron is doing her 1st year of law, but 2nd year of university. And I just get back from a trip away in Israel where I fell in love with the country, the food, the culture, but most importantly, the women. They're very, very special. And I was like, I want an Israeli woman. And we're at our open week, orientation week thing, and everyone's running stalls, and I'm running something called the Progressive Law Network, which is like the law club for hippie lawyers. And Liron is running the Jewish club. And so I go over to the Jewish club to find a bagel.
As you do.
As you do.
Love it.
I walked away with a wife, but that happened a lot later.
Looking for a bagel.
Yeah.
Found a wife.
It's looks like a ring. It's just a really big brand.
Did you
Also,
propose with a bagel?
Nice.
I think is the
I
question.
should have. I really should have.
With this bagel, I thee wed.
So anyway, I asked her out immediately, and she said no immediately. And then from there, there was like a 6 or 7 month dance of me trying to court her, and her basically repeatedly saying no, until one day I broke her spirit and she said, yes, you can take me on a date.
Liron, what do you remember that moment, or what was it?
I had a spare Thursday night.
Amazing. You're like, I didn't have dinner plans. I was hungry,
pretty
so
much.
I was like,
I said to him I was like busy until further notice, and then something cleared up, so I was like, let's see what you got. It better be good.
Well, apparently it was.
It was just a scheduling issue, right? That was the whole event.
Nice.
Yeah, so they'll fast forward through there. But basically, we got together. It was awesome. We dated throughout our university life, went traveling together, and we were together for about 5.5 years before I proposed.
We also lived in the UK together.
Yes, we did do that as well.
Yes. For 2 years.
Yeah.
And then we got back, we got married, and
You got married how long ago?
2 years ago. We just celebrated.
Yeah, just over 2 years ago.
We started cooking babies.
Oh, yes.
Like babies.
Nice. That's awesome.
So cool. Well, Max and I were talking about it on our way here, and the fact that we are very excited to have you join us to be part of this podcast, not just because you're our friends and we love you, but also because we feel very inspired by your relationship, and we really admire the way that you cultivate your relationship, the marriage that you have, the way you treat each other. Like, you're really kind of our relationship heroes. So thanks for inspiring us in the way you do everything. I feel like you're so intentional in the way that you approach your relationship, and that's something we always try and cultivate. You know, both of you said about going deep with people and relationships, and that's something we really like and we're probably attracted to. Like, we're not so about the bullshit, like, surface level conversations. Like, we like to really dig deep and get to know people really well, and you both spoke about that, so we love that.
I would like to ask, we didn't talk about this, but I would love to ask, like, what are some, I don't know, like maybe top 3 of your favorite parts about being in a relationship together? Like, what do you love about being together, and what do you admire? And this is not like, this is that humble brag. Like, let us know what you really celebrate in your partnership.
Well, I feel like, you know, I can say about all the amazing things that Jason and I can do as a team, and what an amazing person he is, and how I see him through, you know, everything that he does, and being his wife, seeing him through all the good and the bad, and every experience that we would come across. But the truth is, like, when I look at Jason, I see his essence. You know, I see his soul, and that's what I'm connecting with. And anything that he goes throughout the day or the year, like, those are layers that we are interacting with to kind of have a good experience throughout our life. But the connection and the bond is like soul level, and like, and that's a part of me that loves him is also the soul level in me, that essence of myself. And that is kind of what is an interaction here. Like, that is, our souls are dancing with one another, and then, you know, we have to also tackle the real world together, so then that translates into other things. But it definitely feels like the deepest, most like core bond that could exist, and because we cultivate that and nurture that so well, it flows into every other layer and then outwards into our community. So yeah, that's kind of what I love the most about what we have.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. That's awesome. That's awesome. Maybe I'll say it in my own way, but I'll basically just be repeating what you said. The first thing that came to mind for me was, since being in this relationship, I feel like Liron has my back so entirely that it allows me, even when we're not next to each other in the same, you know, physical space, to like live my best life, because I know, you know, I think deep down so many people's fear is that they won't be loved. You know, like deep down it's like, no one's going to love me. And when that's taken care of, and you know so entirely that no matter what you do, someone loves your essence, and, you know, and it's not like this sort of like fluffy soul essence that, you know, we can like draw on a chakra painting or something. I really mean, you know, that deepest part of you that's vulnerable and is a child, you know, they love it and they hold it and they hug it, and you know that. You feel like, I feel like I can go and do anything, because that worry, that thing that makes so many people so insecure and so shit scared of life is gone. Because this one person who I fucking love thinks that way about me. I'm like, holy shit, she's the only person whose opinion I care about. And she thinks I'm a fucking legend. So it's like, oh my God, like I don't need to impress anyone else.
Right.
I've won her.
Yeah.
Done. And so it just makes the rest of life just so much easier, because that worry, you know, of course insecurities come up. It's not like life's just a breeze all the time, but I know deep down it's bullshit, because she loves me. So I've got everything I need, and that makes life pretty good.
Also tough. So
I don't know about you, but I just want to say, like, we should pack up and go home because I want to hear a podcast called True Essence with Jason and Leron. Like, I feel like everything I say now is like such bullshit. I just want to hear you guys talk about connecting to your true essence. That's my pitch. Just think about it. Think about it.
Well, I have a follow-up because that was a wonderful to hear, and I feel very privileged to hear you talk about each other in that way. I'm also thinking about people who don't have that, who haven't yet, or maybe they have had that and they've lost it, you know, for whatever reason. I'm wondering how you cultivate that, and you know, because that's not a given. I think Shannyn and I talk about this a lot. Like, yes, we're married. We've decided to commit to each other, to have each other's back, to be able to love each other and to offer the other that comfort. And at the same time, it's not a given, in my opinion. I don't believe that it's a given that she's going to love me every day. I think I have to work, and I think we have to work to cultivate that sense of love, that palpable sense of feeling loved. And so I'm wondering how y'all work at that. And you mentioned it, you know, that you actually cultivate it. What are some of the things that you do to cultivate that feeling of love?
I mean, I can think of two things. The first one might sound like a cliche, but it's the hardest thing, is to actually believe that you deserve to be seen fully and loved. And the only way you could feel that is if you love yourself and you are working on a relationship with yourself where you are able to look at all the parts of you, even the ones that you think might not be so beautiful, and to just see the child in that, and to be kind to yourself in that, and to want to let that come out and see some sunshine, because that's the only way another person could ever see it, is if you allow them to see you in that way. And so, first of all, believing that you deserve it, that you are loved, that you are beautiful. And then the second one is to actually lead by example and love the other person in the way that you might want to be loved. And sometimes it's hard to do because you might feel really vulnerable and put yourself out there, but if you have that trust that this person's not going to abuse the way that you put yourself out there, and it takes a while to maybe even build that trust, if you show another person how you want to be seen, how you want to be loved, they'll feel, and this is a generalization, this is what we've done, they'll feel so touched and moved in a whole new way that they'll want to reciprocate. I think that's how we kind of also learned how to love each other. We come from different families, both very loving families, but where love is shown and expressed differently. And I think we both had to demonstrate to one another how we want to be loved, and to even shift in how we accept and view love in order to make this relationship work. And yeah, it takes time, and open communication is such a cliche, but yeah, I think there's a lot of different ingredients to that.
So I think practices are really good, and I think like the really simple stuff of getting your health in order, your physical health, surrounding yourself with people that express that love themselves so you can see how they do it. And things like meditation and insight practices that make you feel less stuck in your skull and more in the world. Again, I think kind of what I was saying before about if you peel back your own layers, you see it in other people, like not judging other people. Some of the least happy people I know are the most judgmental ones. And I think that if you start pointing the finger at everyone else and seeing their shitness, that's going to reflect back at you. And if you start looking for, and really, and not even necessarily looking for the good in other people, but just not judging them as good or bad, but just seeing this loving, you know, we used the word essence before, that they are, you might start to feel like you're like them. And yeah, in relationships, again, I think it's about seeing past all the layers and the masks that we are kind of forced to wear out in the world, and even at home in our relationships, and seeing that essence and going, if I can interpret as charitably as possible everything they say, what would they really be meaning by the thing that they just said?
Giving the benefit of the doubt, is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah. But like in all of it, go like, what, even if they were coming from a place that maybe wasn't great in that moment, looking past it, they're your fucking partner. Like, look behind it. Like, I know this person loves me, and yeah, maybe I'm scared that they don't. Let me imagine that they did. What could have happened in their day or in the 5 minutes before they said this that made them say this? And let me try and find out about that. Or if they just need some space and they need to lash out a bit, cool. In 10 minutes, that's going to be different, and that's cool.
It's like responding from love. Wow, awesome.
I also, for me, I heard compassion as well. And the desire to be compassionate to your partner.
Right.
Because that has it's like a pillar that like your relationship stands on. Right? When you enter I'm going to change my metaphor now. When you enter the field and like the grass is made of compassion, you're actively, every step that you take is within that context, knowing that it's a compassionate relationship, it's a compassionate context for interpersonal, like for interactions to occur. And babe, for me, like, you're the model of compassion in my life and in our relationship. So I'm just wanting to connect that because it makes me feel connected to you, because that's what I experience in our relationship. So thank you for reminding me of some of the wonderful blessings that we get to engage in.
Okay, enough lovey-dovey bullshit, because we came here to argue, motherfucker. And it's happening. So also, Liron, being the incredible lawyer that she is, has asked some really important clarifying questions, which I think need to be answered. And the first that you just asked before we got started was very important.
Okay, what is our role as judges? I just need to be clear before you start so I know how I'm supposed to be thinking about this argument. Are we taking the role of a judge, a mediator, or an arbitrator?
Can you
yes,
please? Yes.
So in mediations, the mediator listens to the two sides and tries to help them come to an agreement together without actually interfering. So what do you think about that? What do you think about that? Can you come to something? And it's kind of somebody who assists.
Right.
But doesn't make it a final call at the end. An arbitrator listens to the two sides, and based on what they think, they make a decision. A judge looks at past similar situations and tries to see how this particular situation is similar to the previous ones and tries to make a decision that's consistent with the previous ones. So what is that role?
I think option B.
I was
because we definitely are going to make a decision. Someone is right,
making that decision.
And y'all are making that decision.
Okay.
We want the second one.
Yeah.
Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Well,
The second option, please.
This shit.
Okay. That's like a Judge Judy.
Exactly like Judge Judy. And we'll explain how you're going to have some time to figure that out amongst yourselves.
One clarifier here is, do we need to agree with each other as judges, or could there be a split decision if, like, I agree with Shannyn and Liron agrees with Max or something like that?
No, we need to agree.
We talked about this, but I think you need to agree.
Yeah.
If you are debating it between yourselves, that's also pretty fucking hilarious. And what's going to happen is we're going to present our argument.
And we need your help to figure out what the decision is. I'm not going to say who's right, but in this situation, who's right.
And then we're going to give you some time. We're going to put some music on. We're going to go in the other room, and then you will present your verdict.
Sweet.
I like it.
Okay.
Cool.
So today is the 1st of February, so it's a festive time for some. And basically, Max and I have a tradition in our relationship. This is going to be the third annual Valentine's Day dumpling eating competition.
Can we come? This sounds amazing.
Okay. I'm so glad you asked this. This is the freaking question.
Hilarious.
We're standing in the kitchen the other day and we started talking about it, and actually we host many events, as you know, in the evenings, and it just so happens that we have an event on Friday the 14th of February.
The next Havaya.
This next Friday night, Kabbalat Shabbat gathering is on the 14th of February. And so Max was like, can these people from the group that we facilitate with come to our Valentine's Day dinner? And I was like, bitch, no. That's not okay. Like, this is Valentine's Day. This is a time for us as a couple, and like, we spend a lot of time together and we do work together and we live together, but this is a special meal together. And we started having this argument. So
this is why we brought you in, to help us figure out, can we include other people? What is the best way to celebrate Valentine's Day? Is Valentine's Day important? Is it not important?
I think that this is also what it comes down to as well, because it led in that moment, and then we literally paused it because we were like, we have to do this week's argument. We save all our arguments now. But Max started saying, like, you know, Valentine's, it doesn't really matter, and like every day is Valentine's Day and all this stuff.
Can I offer mine? Because you said earlier, you were like, I'm not going to say what you're
right. I did say that.
So, all right. We've introduced a situation. We've got Valentine's Day. We have an event beforehand. I'm like, hey, I love you every single day of my life. It's a fucking fake holiday made up by Hallmark. I want you to feel as loved as you think you would on Valentine's Day, every single day. You know, it's not about just that one night. And I'm like, we should all go out and eat 1,000,000 dumplings together. This is going to be awesome. Because I am someone who loves to share love. I'm a lover. I like to engage in love. I like to celebrate love. I like to...
This is a tactic. I'm just going to say that. This is such a tactic.
I am 100% trying to win this argument, okay? So, I love, right? It should be shared. And Valentine's Day is stupid, and I want to love you and make you feel loved, and I want to celebrate that. And yeah, we have an event before, so I want to invite everyone. And yeah, I'm going to sit right next to you, I'm going to look in your eyes, and it's going to be super amazing, just as if we were together, but also there's going to be like 20 or 30 people.
Right. Okay.
That is my opinion. Valentine's Day is stupid. And I love you.
Okay, fine. My turn.
Go for it.
I love you too so much.
That's good.
And I think it's important context. So for a very long time, when I was younger, I also believed that Valentine's Day is stupid. Is Valentine's Day a Hallmark holiday? 100%. It is a bullshit holiday that is used for commercialism. I agree with you. I think you're absolutely correct. Does every girl want to feel special and loved on Valentine's Day? Fuck yes, she does. I don't care. And like, I used to boycott Valentine's Day when I was like a teen. I'd be like, I don't care, I'm boycotting. But let me tell you that if a boy had asked me out to do something on Valentine's Day, I would have said yes, and I would have gladly accepted. It was a defense mechanism because I didn't want to feel hurt or rejected, so I decided to boycott the whole holiday. And that was my teenage experience. And I will say that now, as an adult with a loving husband, I know that you want to make me feel like Valentine's Day every day, but shouldn't that include fucking Valentine's Day? Yes. Yes, it should. And when we go out to dinner with 30 other people, it is not showing me that you're valuing time just with me. It's making me feel like, why do we have to even have romantic meals with all these people? Like, can you not sit through one meal with just me? I think that little gestures every day are super nice, and we feel appreciated and we feel heard and we love communication. But like, yeah, flowers are nice. Or chocolates are... Who doesn't fucking want chocolate? You like don't want to get me chocolates? Chocolates are... What? What girl is going to be like, oh no, thank you, I don't want chocolate?
Vegans.
Yeah, vegan.
I know it's bullshit, and I know it's like this surface level thing, but like, it's so in our faces. It's like everywhere. And I used to work at like a movie theater, and I worked on Valentine when's like literally that Valentine's Day movie came out, like probably 8 years ago at this point, and I had to like sell smug fucking couples tickets all day to see this movie.
So you want to be one of those smug couples?
Yeah, I do. I have a husband. Like, I should get a Valentine's Day something. Like, just all I'm asking for is a dumpling dinner. It's like not that much, but just the two of us, because I do want to. It's like, yeah, I want to feel like that smug couple.
So, okay, clarifying questions.
I have many questions. I don't know about you.
Go ahead.
Okay, so question number one. You said this is a tradition. How long has the tradition been going for, and did it happen on Valentine's Day?
Yes, it did happen on Valentine's Day. This will be the 3rd annual dumpling eating contest.
I asked that we start something, and we didn't want to do, Max didn't want to do like a suit and, well, I don't want to do a suit and tie dinner either, but just for an example, like to go out to the opera and, dress up and we didn't want that. We wanted something that was more authentically us. So we're like, let's go eat dumplings and have a competition. But I believe it was at my insistence that we did something for Valentine's Day.
Is it just because you want to beat me in the dumpling eating contest? It's okay.
I just want to have a romantic night with you on Valentine's Day and feel like I'm partaking in the global phenomenon that is celebrating love.
Even though it's hollow.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
My next question, but this isn't a clarifier as much as a challenging question to challenge the thinking so I can understand it. Why did you agree, Max, to do these for the last 2 years? Forget the people thing.
Right.
If you don't like Valentine's Day and you think it's bullshit, why did you participate the last 2 years?
Fantastic question. Thank you, Jason. The reason why I chose to do this is because I love my partner. And I will do anything to make you happy. And you know that. And at the end of the day, if you want to have a one-on-one or just the two of us go and eat some dumplings, that's going to be fantastic and it's going to happen. But I still want to know that I'm right, because it's bullshit.
Wait, but which bit are you right about then? Are you right that you should be able to invite other people, or that Valentine's Day is bullshit?
Both.
You should be able to invite other people because Valentine's Day is bullshit.
At the end of the day, of course I'm going to listen to you, because you're saying, Max, this is important to me. I would never make this a thing within the context of a lifelong relationship that I want to have with you. So I committed to doing that because I want you to feel loved. And if this is how you feel loved, I want to make sure that happens.
I do feel loved by you all the time, and I do feel like I'm a words of affirmation person, and you give me a lot of verbal affirmation, but something about that gesture with a card or with a little gift on a day that is societally accepted as a day to show love is important, because it does make people feel special. It does.
It makes you feel special.
It does make me feel special. I don't think
other people, it's about you.
Correct. And I don't think that, I feel like you're saying, that this is this bullshit day and so we shouldn't do it. But really in a society that is super not into expressing emotions, we should be celebrating a day that is celebrating expressing love.
Ooh,
you know what I mean? Why would we?
shit.
Why would?
Wrong, because she's gonna love that argument.
Yeah. I just want you to know that I 100% hear you say that you want to feel that love on Valentine's Day, because that is what is occurring in the larger milieu, the larger context of the world. I understand that. And I am not arguing that we should not have a Valentine's Day. I'm not arguing that.
You just don't want to partake in that?
I just don't necessarily feel like I have to engage in that.
Because you're already married? Why?
No, because I want to love you the same way that I would every single day. That's why. Or maybe I have created this image of what Valentine's Day is supposed to be, and I feel like that's not authentic to me. What's authentic to me is making you coffee in the morning and bringing it to you in bed and writing letters that you find expressing how much I love you. You know what I mean? That's how I communicate love. Buying you chocolates and taking you to dinner. I mean, the dinner part is nice, but that's not how I communicate my love to you.
But it's
so
not...
it doesn't feel like an authentic... Mm-hmm. It feels like someone else's narrative, right?
I think that there's another level of wanting to feel like there is a special effort put in.
Interesting. Okay. That's interesting to note. Also,
I just want to throw in one more perspective before we can ask other questions or let our judges deliberate, which is, I think that this is definitely like the most wonderful relationship I've ever been in my life. And we were also long distance for a very long time. And I had days like this one, or events that happened where we were not in the same place. And I had all that bullshit in my face, and I knew I had a loving partner, and I still didn't get to celebrate it in the way that I wanted to. And maybe we can like reframe Valentine's Day as like how cool that we're in the same place day, and we celebrate it on our terms. But something about that day, I think, is nice to feel like it's just celebrating our relationship, but in a way that is special, and not just something like we can go get sushi any day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Effort is appreciated.
For those who are not watching the YouTube, I've been nodding my head because I have also felt that. I empathize with what you just said about like we were dating long distance. Things like, you know, whether it was our anniversary or Valentine's Day or your birthday would come up, and we wouldn't be able to be there in person celebrating. And so now that we are, being together in those moments is really important, and making the most out of it because we've experienced what it's like when we're not able to physically be there. I definitely see that. That's like I definitely appreciate you saying that, and I hear that perspective.
So I don't think we need to deliberate because I know Liron and how her brain works. So I already know what
you
she's
sure?
voted for.
Are you sure? Yeah.
I know who she's voted for and why and all these things. And she may think that I disagree with her, but I actually agree with her. So I think we've made our decision.
We've made our decision.
Yeah?
We've made our decision.
So I already know that Liron has decided in favour of Max. No, I'm just kidding. She definitely didn't. Definitely not. She definitely sympathised almost entirely with Shannon's argument, if not entirely, in every single way.
I did feel you, Max.
True?
I did feel you.
Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I don't feel particular. I understood a lot of your arguments and have felt that way myself. But like, you guys kind of got there in the end anyway. You kind of like reached a consensus. But yeah, we both vote for Shannyn. She won.
But it's not Shannyn. It's the two of you.
No, Shannyn won.
All that matters is that it's important to you.
Right.
That's the core of it. That it's important to you, and you know, and you should be celebrating your love every day, and it's also like lovely to celebrate it on those days. I did empathize with, you know, the idea of sharing that love and like not wanting to exclude people as well on a day like that, but that's something that I'm always quite conscious of, that there might be people who might be seeing other people loving on that day and might want to share in it. And I think it's important to like to share the love, but also to like make one person feel extra special in all of that. The fact that it's important to you, Shannyn, the fact that it makes you feel tingly and, you know, you want to feel appreciated on that day is valid. So, and Max, who cares the most about how you feel and wants to make you happy, will step up to that.
I will. It's true.
Yeah, agreed. I also think like that just as a principle in itself is so huge. You know, getting back to what you were saying before, Max, about this can apply to many relationships, is like so much of it is, if any relationship, but particularly your loving ones, there are so many instances where you just got to ask yourself, like, is this important to be right about, to get my way about this thing? Does this matter enough? And so often it doesn't. And if you can take that like telescopic view and zoom out and go, like you kept doing, which is again why you kind of won the argument for her, because like you knew deep down that you would do
anything,
like, right? And
anything to make her happy.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, like you kind of agree with her, really. Nothing is actually important. It's just the meaning that you ascribe to it. And so if one of you finds it important, so much about being in a good relationship is going, well, it's important to them. So not only am I just going to go, yeah, okay, it's important to you. Here's your card, here's your flowers, here's your chocolates, good night. It's like, I'm going to rock out and make this so cool for you.
Right.
And in doing that, and you kind of brought this up as well, Shannyn, which was really good to say, you can find a way to recharacterize it where you get excited too. But there was one kind of splinter argument that I really liked in there, which was the whole sharing of love thing. And you mentioned this as well. like I'm a big, like we'll like want to go for breakfast on a Saturday or something, and we're like, oh, should we go for breakfast to a cafe? So I'm like, yeah, should we? And then I'll like invite two people, like, should we call Max and Shannon, or should we call Mermels and Holly, or I choose two friends? And she's like, why don't we just go us two? I'm like, because it's more fun with friends. And that's not, I don't love you or I don't like spending one-on-one time together, but our default is spending one-on-one time together. We live together, we're married, we do everything together. There's a novelty and an awesomeness in including other people. So I can get why that felt like a natural next step to go, oh my God, we have this event on. Yeah, it's like convenient that they're there and we can just invite them, but how cool would it be if we all did it together?
I want to have fun. I want to have fun all the time. And this is just another opportunity to do that. And I think that's also why I think about including other people, because I know the love that we feel that is present and clear, and I can imagine that the excitement and the energy and the shared joy of a fucking massive table of 30 people, just, and also being post Chavaya with that like bliss of connection that we had just created from singing for an hour and a half, 2 hours together. I think that was one of the ideas, one of the images that came to mind was this like really communal feeling. But knowing that this is important to you, and I think that what you guys said is, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. And I think that for anyone who's thinking about their partner, whether it's a loving partner or someone who they're in a relationship with, their parent, their friend, their business partner, whatever it is, if it's important to that person, and you need to be able to have that kind of, whether it's a symbol or a sign or a phrase or something that indicates like, hey, this is important to me. Actually, you were telling me about something that y'all have. You said
it's that.
Hey,
this is really important to me. And we don't say it often, but when we say it, we know. And
you're like, okay,
no question.
Okay, no question, right? Yeah. Hey, this is important to me. If that phrase is mentioned, and it's a good practice. It's a good that's an easy phrase. Hey, this is important to me. And then it's like, okay, cool, we're done. Let's move on. Let's do it.
And if there is something on, be curious. Go, yeah, awesome. Not like, oh, it's important to you. Why? It's like, be curious. Oh, cool. How come? Why?
Yeah, tell me
more.
And
they tell you, and then you find out. And you're like, oh, cool. Now it's important to me too. So we're doing the four of us dumpling eating. Is that where we landed?
No, I can't. No, fuck y'all. I love you, but no. I'm standing up for my partner. Yay. I'm saying no.
Yeah,
I just want to. So, I say that with love.
So we were talking about last episode. We in the introduction, we just said this podcast is brought to you by, and shouted out some of our friends. But we wanted to say for this episode that this episode was brought to you by Tang's Dumpling House, because that's where we're gonna go.
They're of course not actually sponsoring us, but
we're so open to it.
Definitely.
Don't go there on Valentine's Day.
Don't go there on Valentine's Day and interrupt our meal, but any other day.
Well, thank you very, very much. We are so, so grateful to have Liron and Jason on our podcast. We are going to now have listener mail coming up. And for anyone who wants to stay in contact with us, whether that's offering us suggestions for different arguments, maybe you can let us know what is happening in your life, and we'll see if there's something that strikes a chord with Shannon or I. Maybe if you agree with me, Max, or if you agree with Shannon, or disagree. If you disagree with our fantastic judges, whatever it is, please feel free to get in contact with us. We'd love to know what's present in your relationships. And
yes, we can be found on Instagram and on Twitter at Shannyn and Max, and Shannon is spelled ShannynandMax.
You can also
Shannyn and Max.
You can also shoot us an email, shannonandmax@gmail.com,
or hashtag this week's argument. All of it.
Thanks again, y'all. We really appreciate your time and for letting us into your wonderful home, and thank you for allowing us to pay you in salsa.
Yeah, I was just about to say, let's eat something.
Yeah, it's time for some salsa.
Thanks for having us.
Until next time, everyone, keep in contact and share the love, but only with your
And happy
partner.
Valentine's
On
Day.
Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yay.
Good job, everybody.
Yeah.